Raider Nation, what is the deal, man? Once again, it's the guy Panama Fargo back to y'all live with another episode of the Raider Rundown. And today, man, we're going to be going over the game yesterday versus the Los Angeles Chargers. And we are also going to be going over the Raiders' next 3-game stretch and how that's going to be the most important part of the future of this team. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get the intro started and let's get into it.
Young guy, I had a dream that someday I would build the finest organization in professional sports.
What is the deal, Raider Nation? Once again, make sure you guys are tapping on the like and the subscribe button. And please hit on the little notification bell so you get updated whenever I drop episodes like this one right here. But like I said, man, we are going to be going over yesterday's game and some of my takeaways from yesterday's game. And also, we are going to go over the Raiders' next three-game stretch and how that's going to impact this team for the future. So let's start off with the game for the Los Angeles Chargers, right? So my takeaways, a couple of takeaways, got like 5 for y'all. One, right? The tackling was fucking horrendous yesterday. And I think that's to the surprise of nobody, but the tackling, the wrapping up, the simple execution, right, of yesterday's game on both sides of the ball struggled, okay? Number of times, bro, that it's just we tried to tackle on defense. We gave up a number of yardage, and it was just bad. Just bad all around, bro. Like, nobody had a good tackling game. We gave up too many yards after the catch, right? And there were a couple of times we probably could have got them off the field sooner than we did if we would have tackled better than what we did. And right, we had a number of sacks that we let go out of our grasp because we weren't wrapping up and finishing. The execution on defense, tackling, just finishing was just horrendous yesterday in that first half. Now, they tightened it up in the second half, of course, but in that first half, it was really, really bad, right? So, one. Number two, right? The play calling is not that bad, right? When you look at it on film, the play calling is not that bad, but it is the play calling in certain spots and areas in which are bad. You get what I'm saying? Like, Josh McDaniels still has not shown the ability to, one, adjust his game plan, and two, right, being able to have a consistent type of attack for 4 quarters, right? There are times and there are moments and there are spots where his play calling just does not make sense, and it just sticks out when you watch the Raiders, right? Just it's on certain downs, certain times that we have the ball. For instance, the first quarter, right? The play calling, everything looks crisp, right? But once we get towards the second and the third quarter, then you start to realize that the Raiders aren't making any type of fucking adjustments to their offensive scheme. They're not doing anything. They're just basically copy and pasting what they're doing in the first quarter and hoping it works in the second and third. Hence, when you look at the Raiders' numbers, right, they are 7th in the league in scoring in first quarter and damn near 32nd in the second and third quarter in scoring. That tells you everything, right? And then they come up to a measly 17th in scoring in the fourth quarter. But what does that tell you? If you've watched a Raider game for all 4 quarters, it's basically that, right? First quarter, you look very, very good. You're able to score. You're able to move. Second, third quarter, defenses begin to figure out what you're doing because you're not making any adjustments. You're not making any type of game plan, type of changes, right? So at the end of the day, defenses catch on. You cannot continue to copy and paste same thing. So second and third quarter, we end up struggling, right? And the only reason we're there in the fourth quarter and we're ranked 17th is because by then we're getting our ass kicked and the defenses are now letting us back into the game, right? So at the end of the day, these are the things that pisses us off as a fan base about Josh McDaniels. The inability to change a game plan and adjust on the fly, right? It's just the offense continues to look stale after a while, right? So that's my second takeaway. Number 3, right? Although the run game is getting started just a little bit, right? At the end of the day, we can't get any type of consistency in that department. And for what it's worth, right, I think Josh Jacobs is still getting back to his form. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's all the way quite there yet, right? As running just in a pure running back stance. Now, when we talk about the offensive line, okay, the offensive line is very fucking inconsistent. And we're about to get to them in this fourth takeaway. But for the run game, right, there are certain things that, we're trying to scheme up. We're trying to scheme up certain things. Then I will give McDaniels credit for that. But at the end of the day, right, it's just not being executed by the players. And the players just look like they're thinking too goddamn much on the field. Okay, offensive linemen seem like they're fucking very confused on what they need to do on some assignments where, the defensive line may shift over or things may happen. Then it seems like they have no idea where the fuck the gap is that they need to block. All right, like it's just little things, right? And then sometimes it's not even the whole line, it's one or two linemen. But as we watch on the film, when we watch the Raiders or at these previous weeks, the problem with this system and this running system sometimes is when one person fucks up, that means the entirety of the line now has a fuck up, right? There's no room for error in this system. So at the end of the day, we're getting inconsistent play from all the linemen across the board. And like we always say, when one person fucks up, then the rest of the offensive line pretty much fucks up at that point. So the run game is just not where it needs to be. And I don't think Jacobs is where he needs to be yet either. Now, like I said, he's getting back to his form right now. Yesterday, we're seeing him break tackles more. We're seeing him do more things. And I mean, some of that is because he's getting to see open grass now. We're getting the ball in his hands in space, which, I mean, if you're not going to be able to run the ball, you might as well dump it off to him or something, get the ball in his hands. But that's what happens when he starts to get a feel and rhythm. All right, he does not have a feel and rhythm of the game yet because the offensive line is so inconsistent and shitty, right? So he can't get a feel of the game. He can't be the running back that we're accustomed to. But we start to see flashes of it when you get him in grass and you get him in space because he has time to now make a move and see where he needs to go. So that's the next takeaway. The next takeaway after that, the offensive line and our tackles were fucking horrendous. Horrendous. Like, I don't understand, right, how you go against TJ Watt. And for all intents and purposes, right, I understand the Steelers was whooping our ass. He had a sack, but you threw the ball 44 times, and I think you did pretty well in the Steelers game. All right? You go against TJ Watt, and then the next week, come out and just completely get your ass kicked, right? And that's the next thing. Like I just said, it just goes back into the last takeaway. The consistency of this offensive line is spotty, bro. Very spotty. One week you can look cool and you can look good. The next week you get your ass completely fucked up. And right, Colton Miller, Jermaine Illuminor accounted for 2 sacks. All right, they accounted for 2 sacks. Now, Aiden O'Connell in the film did hold the ball a little too long. So I will give you that. I believe he held the ball a little too long. But at the end of the day, the offensive line did him no favors, bro. They did him no favors at all, especially going against a guy like Khalil Mack. It was just atrocious to watch on film, right? So next, right, let's talk about Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell, I think, showed some real good promise. And I know it's already been quoted, and if you have not heard, if Jimmy is healthy, he is going to be the starter. And if you didn't know that, I'm telling you that right now. All right, Jimmy is going to be the starter, and this is going to impact what we talk about in just a minute. But, right, Aiden O'Connell, to me, showed a lot of promise in his start. All right, a lot of promise, right? And especially for somebody who was not being put in the advantageous position as a rookie, okay? And this is the thing we need to talk about. McDaniels did not put his rookie quarterback in an advantageous position. Now, although he showed us good things on the film, there were some spots that he was put in that just are not good for a rookie, right? And of the good friend Marcus Johnson, he tweeted something out earlier today that said, yesterday, the Raiders used play action, right, 8% of the time in O'Connell's dropbacks, okay? 8% of the time. In the preseason, how he looked so good, they used it 42% of the time. So obviously, right there, and right, that only shows you right there, the man threw the ball 39, 40 times. There's no way you let your rookie quarterback throw it that goddamn much, right? That's too many yards, too many pass attempts, bro. He cannot be throwing the ball that many times. That's inexcusable from your head coach. Inexcusable, right? And I know the running game somewhat lackluster. But at the end of the day, you gotta fucking pound that bitch. Or give O'Connell easier throws. Okay, and that's the next thing that we want to touch on. Yes, on the field he looked good, but then some of these throws that McDaniels is asking this man to make, he's not NFL ready to make. Not saying he cannot make the throws, but it is his first fucking game, right? What can we expect from a fourth round quarterback, right? He did as much as we can expect from him to do. But at the end of the day, you're asking this man to make a certain type of NFL throws that he's just not ready yet. You can tell his timing's not there yet. You can tell the speed of the game maybe it was a tick too fast in that first half. McDaniels did him no favors, right? He gave him no easy throws. He gave him no easy reads, something to get his fucking rhythm together, right? He didn't give him none of that. And it's caked all over the field. All over the field is caked. Last but not least, man, defense. Bravo. Good fucking job yesterday, bro. I mean, like I said, the tackling was fucking horrendous, and that's something they definitely got to work on. But I have no complaints about the defense. No complaints. You was able to get pressure, right? You were able to create a turnover. You were able to get off the field on certain instances, right? They ran the ball pretty good in the first half, but you tightened the fuck up in the second half. Didn't allow anything, right? You were very stingy. So at the end of the day, this defense played about as well as we can expect them to play. That 24 points looks nasty because, like the theme in all our other type of games, is that the offense gave him no favors or gave them no favors. At the end of the day, helped them not one bit, right? So that's my takeaways from that, right? So now let's talk about this next game stretch, okay, and how this is going to impact the future of this team. For the next 3 games, you have Green Bay, New England, Chicago. That's the next 3 games. If McDaniels has any hope, and keep this in mind, me personally, I've conceded to the fact he's not the guy. Too many things I've seen, too many things that's happened. I think he's not the guy. But if he has any hope, and if Ziegler has any hope to maybe stay on, or whatever the case, right? Both of them have to do one or two. You have to go 2-1, damn near 3-0 in this next 3 game stretch. No excuse, because Green Bay's a beatable team. New England is a beatable team. Chicago is a beatable team. 3 teams that you can argue the Raiders, although as shitty as they've been playing, should be. And depending on how you look in these 3 games will be dependent on the future. Because at the end of the day, if you look shitty, and God forbid you go 1-2, 0-3 against those teams, oh yeah, he's got to go. Got to go. And like I said, I know the YouTube ain't super popping like it's going to be yet. But if you can clip this, send this shit to Mark Davis, something. These next 3 games are going to tell a lot about your head coach. A lot. And you have to read the fucking signs, Mark. If this man in this next 3 game stretch cannot rally the troops, especially if you bring Jimmy G back, because he's already stated today if Jimmy's healthy, he's going to be starting. Especially if you put Jimmy G back in that starting lineup and they look shitty for the next 3 games and you still ain't scored 20 points, come on, bro. What are we waiting for, Mark? The writing's on the wall. It's time to go. He's done. He cannot rally the troops. The locker room has lost faith. That's what I'm saying. And it's as simple as that. Because after Chicago, you have to go to Detroit. And that's going to be a fucking game. So for these next 3 games, you use these 3 games as we got to get right. Because look, we're sitting at 1-3 right now. If you can win all of these games, now you're sitting at somewhere between, right? Where if you can win those 3 games right there, now we're at 4-3. 4-3 is not bad. And then you see what happens in Detroit, right? So this is what I'm saying. You have to fucking sit here in these next 3 games and be honest with your assessment in this man. How does the team look? Does the team look focused? Does the team look lackadaisical? Does it look like the team does not want to play for this man anymore? Because so far, the sense is getting there, but I don't feel like it's all the way there, because if it wasn't, they wouldn't be going as hard as they are, right? In the second half, trying to make a comeback. Now, I feel like the sense in the locker room is getting to the point where it's like, all right, motherfucker, you got just a couple more losses like that where we just got to say, it's time for you to hang it up. You had a good run. But as of right now, this is where we're at. So remember, like I said, this is me. And if it comes out, so you know where you hurt. These next 3 games are going to determine McDaniels and Ziegler's future. Whoever stays, whether Ziegler stays, whether McDaniel stays, or Ziegler fires McDaniel, whatever the case, or they both go. These next 3 games are going to be the determining factor, whether you like them, whether you don't like them. Because these next 3 games are winnable games. And games you look at, even as bad as the Raiders are playing, with all the talent we have, and saying you should beat these teams. So let's see what happens. And you mark my words. If they look shitty in these next 3 games, fuck the 3-year plan that all of us thought that McDaniels had, even these fucking beat reporters. Fuck that. If he looks shitty in his next 3 games, I guarantee you Mark Davis is going to look at that and say he's got to go. I guarantee it. And if he doesn't, then that's the fucking problem. Then that's the problem right there. But like I said, man, if anything happens and there's any Raider discussion to be had, I'm going to keep you updated and I'm going to talk about it on the channel. So make sure you guys are hitting the like, hitting the subscribe button. Share out the channel to all your homies, to your friends who are diehard Raider fans that want that real Raider talk with no gimmicks, man. And if that's the case, tell them to swing by to the channel. You know what's happening, and come chill with your boy. But remember, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, hit the little notification bell so you get updated when I drop episodes and go live. I go live every Thursday, 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern, right? And you already know, I keep it authentic from the clouds to the ground on the Raider Rundown.
I need a bad bitch with an accent, serving in peace, still taxing. Just got tapped for the young cash app, moonwalking like a young Mike Jackson. Yeah, shots to the head, ride clean and still fuck feds. Realest nigga and it's on my kids, so who the fuck gon' wanna test me, bitch?